Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to the final Fallout Bar of the week here at Online Darts for the Grand Slam of Darts from Wolverhampton. Myself, Jack Gobigal, joined by Mr. Cam McFarlane for the first time this week. It's been a very long time since me and you have been sat here next to each other, mate. Which probably means we should warn everybody this show might go on a bit because you're renowned for that.
Yep, you've literally. What do you mean I'm renowned for that? We're renowned for that. Absolutely not just me. But yeah, I was just going to say exactly the same. You beat me to it. Yeah, this could be a long one. It tends to be when it's me and you, even with only 2 games to talk about.
Well, yeah. Could you imagine if it had been me and you on Saturday or Sunday night after we'd done 16 matches and had to look?
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be us on Saturday night, wasn't it? Until I realised that I was at the boxing. So yeah.
Whilst I might be sat here quoting the phrase "one job at you," I'm kind of glad you weren't on, to be honest, mate, because that show was long enough already and it started late. However, a much more reasonable time to get tonight's show underway. With all you guys in the chat room, 2 more quarterfinals to look back at, and we can look ahead to all of tomorrow's action. We're basically going to go semis and final all in one roll, so when we give our predictions, not only will we pick who's going to win each semi, but we might as well tack on the final as well at that point, Cam. Good evening to everybody in the chat room. Plenty of you in once again already. Barry's in. He's taken the mick out of my predictions from the other night. I may have 2 or 3 nights ago said the only possible outcome from here was a Price versus VG final. How wrong was that one? Rose is in. Kieran's in as well. Sam's in. James, Daniel, Craig, Ptarmigan. Why is there a silent P there? Spell your name properly. Daniel's in from Germany. Says Humphries was fantastic tonight. Lance
get everyone on side early.
Say again?
So get everyone on side early.
Wow, you know. That's what I do, innit? Like, it could be worse. Could insult even more people. Harry's in as well. He says evening all. Right, I guess, mate, we should just get straight into it and look back at tonight's action. Gary's in from across the pond. Good to see you, buddy. I mean, it's about 7 p.m. over your way, so good to have you in. Bob's in his as well. Joe's in. There we go. You're all saying hello now. Brilliant. Don't forget to drop us a like if you can comment in the chat room. That means you can click a button as well. Less typing, less action. We really would appreciate that before we get underway as well. But like I said, first up, Cam, we need to look back at tonight's 2 quarterfinals. Starting with Nathan Aspinall's win over Alan Suter, 16-12. Mid-90s averages for 28 legs is incredibly respectable through both of these players. But I guess in the end, that experience of Aspinall, that battling quality of him, saw him over the line in the end.
Yeah, I think exactly that. He just managed to around the middle of the game where he got back tight and he got back level, and then he came out of the break and opened up a little gap, and from there kind of just kept it comfortable. But it was exactly like you said to it. It was just those battling qualities and just that calmness under pressure and hitting the doubles at the right time. I mean, that's where this match was won and lost. If you look at the averages, there's very, very little in it. It was a very close game. All the scoring was close as well, but it just came down to it in the end that Suter missed his chances and Aspinall took them when it mattered, and that was what got him over the line. And love to see it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a resurgent year for Nathan Aspinall. You think at the start of the year there was serious conversations about would we see Nathan Aspinall as a top dart player again? He'd struggled at the back end of last year, was speaking about having to go for surgery on a wrist injury that has turned out isn't as serious as perhaps feared. He's had to stop playing golf and a couple of other things, but his wrist and his action seemed back to where they were when he was picking up UK Open titles. And was it the US Darts Masters he won?
Yes.
He won one of the World Series events.
Yeah, I think so.
Something somewhere. I'm only hosting a darts-related show, but yeah, should know that one. But he started to get back to that point. He's scrapping a bit. He went to the final of the European Championships, and this is another big step on this 2022 recovery year for Nathan, if you like, that is going to place him pretty nicely heading into next year if he doesn't pick up a title between now and January the 3rd.
Yeah, like you said, very conceivably that he could do between now and then. But yeah, it's just really, really impressive from him. I think one of the things that got mentioned on commentary tonight as well was the fact that he doesn't always look great when he holds onto the dart and doesn't let it go and then resets and goes again. But he doesn't ever waste a dart. He doesn't throw a dart that he's not ready to throw. And I think that's really helping him, because the number of times he does that and has that reset, where there's the one where he hit double 16, where he basically had walked to the board and then walked back again almost. But the thing is, he's one that every time he does that, he seems to hit the target he's going for. It's not an issue for him the way it would be for others. That losing of the rhythm really doesn't affect him, and we're seeing him play back to the standard, like you say. He's back to that standard that we've seen him before. By the way, have Sky ever mentioned the fact that he won the UK Open on a 170? Because I've heard it at least 20 times this week, I think.
Look, there's a few things that broadcast of that will throw straight back to. One is one that I'm about to bring up next, to be honest, mate. You throw me under the bus completely there. Is the fact that it takes two to play a fantastic game of darts. And actually, Alan Suter's had more darts at a double in that match than Nathan Aspinall. Just been successful on less of those. He's had 42 attempts at a double and only taken out 12. But it's a superb run from Suter, who is another player who is on a little bit of a resurgence. Had a fantastic 2021. The World Championships didn't quite go the way that he would have liked. There was a lot of big build-up around him, as you tend to get around. I don't want to call him the hipsters pick, but we've had that with Ratajski. We're going to see that with Josh Rock this year. There is some player that doesn't play in as many TV events in their first year that everybody knows is capable on the floor and will turn up at the World Championships or whatever else with big expectations. And after that, they need to do a lot more the following year. Ryan Searle's another who had a fantastic year last year. Won Players' Championship final, won a Pro Tour, etc. Has struggled massively this year. Suits look to be another one of those, but this run here is superb for him. He's been away and had effectively a servicing with his manufacturer, where they analyse your throw and everything. You go through different steps of points, stems, flights, and all that sort of stuff. And in the last few weeks, his average has just spiraled to ton pluses. I did have the data at one point. Simon, who's just started writing for the team, did some analysis on it before he went for this assessment with Mission and afterwards. And he'd hit more ton plus averages in a week and a half on the Pro Tour and this qualifier than he had on tour all year.
Yeah,
that's how much he turned his game around in that short space of time.
Yeah, it shows first of all, the benefit of doing that and getting the equipment right. But I think probably more than anything, the placebo effect of, right, this equipment is right for me now. I've had all the checks and this, that, and the other, and that just extra bit of confidence when you've got them in your hand just shows that difference of what he can do at that point. And yeah, he's been really impressive throughout this tournament. And on another day, he beats Nathan quite comfortably. Probably tonight, his absolute favourite double 18 goes for him, which I did have it somewhere, but he didn't hit it many times tonight. I think it was possibly only sort of 2 or 3 out of what he won, I think. And you don't expect that from him generally.
For once, I think your internet's worse than mine and you're jumping about a bit because I can't see any hesitancy on my side. But I think you were talking about the lack of Alan Suter hitting double 18 tonight, and that's costing him. So we're going to roll with that just in case that is what you said. Yeah. I think that's what you just went with.
That was what I said.
But 100% I agree that it's changed the game a little bit in that favour, in that respect. And on another night, we could have been talking about Alan Suter into a major semi-final. Usually at this point, what would happen is I would play the post-match reaction from Nathan Aspinall in his press conference. However, it looks like Phil hasn't given us the clip yet. So we might have to do some more chatting. So if there's any questions specifically about this one, there's a lot of talk about it being on for Barney now. Adam's watching from the States as well.
I think my favourite reaction at any point during the game from Nathan was his reaction at the first break when he walked off holding his hands behind his back just in case.
You know what? I will give him that as well. That is funny, knowing what's come before. To be present in that state of mind in possibly the biggest game of the season so far. Maybe not if you've been in the European Championship final, but the draw's opening up that little bit more as it goes on. To be that aware and have that little comedy moment as well, I thought was brilliant. The Sky production was very good to pick up on that as well and not cut away with that. But I do think that was superb from him. Rose says, for someone we had big concerns about earlier in the year, Asp is doing great. I agree. Jamie says, I think NVG is slightly afraid of Luke. I don't get it. If he is, that UK Open drubbing was a bit there, and that was the last time they reached. That was to reach Luke's last semi-final, I think. We do have Nathan Aspinall's post-match press conference now, though, so we have managed to stall just for long enough. So here is the Asp after his win over Alan Suter.
How did that conversation with Kirsty go?
Yeah, I had to tell her yesterday, you know, it was a birthday on Friday when we got Minehead. Kirsty's birthday every year when we're in Minehead. She has a rubbish birthday every year. She loves Dappy and Talisa. So I bought end-up tickets, and you know what? I actually like him too. But yeah, I can't go with her tomorrow. But listen, I'd rather hold that trophy at the end of Sunday night than shake hands with Dappy.
You've openly spoken about
Nana,
Right. Let's get a couple of things straight.
Hang on a minute. I didn't realise that End-Ups was still going.
They reformed at the start of the year and went on tour. So tickets went like absolute hotcakes. They've done 2 nights. They've basically done an arena tour, right? Some of the clips I've seen haven't been that great from it. Some of it, the nostalgia and everything, brilliant. I think there was more hype around them actually getting back together and announcing a tour than people actually excited at the moment of going to watch it. But as someone who is very close in age to Nathan Aspinall, to be ashamed of liking N-Dubs is absolutely nothing. There's nothing in it. They were iconic in early 2000s Britain.
Yeah, if I'd have got tickets.
You're well older than me as well. So if you like them, then it's absolutely fine.
It's Nathan. I was going to say Nathan's definitely closer to me in age than you, to be fair.
Well, in that case, we'll use you as the barometer rather than me. Perfect. Now I don't feel anywhere near as bad as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine to admit to that. I think we all did growing up. Yeah. So I'd have been all over going to that if I'd known that they were back on. But that shows how much I keep up to date with music these days.
Brits in the chat room, let us know if you like N-Dubs as well. I know there's a few of you not from Britain who probably haven't got a clue what we're going on about, why half the country is suddenly walking around going nana nai rather than just talking in English.
I'm gonna get the old bobble hat with the tassels out.
Mate, it's cold enough right now, isn't it? Let's be honest. No one can afford heating. Let's just get the dappy hat back. Like, cover your ears. Turn one side up and whatever else that goes with it. Evening Nels, evening also to Craig who's jumped in. He says, Goblin Cam, courtesy of Rosie, do you think Barney would pick for the Premier League in 2023? We'll do a Premier League discussion towards the very end because, look, I think with the 4 players involved at the minute, we can have this conversation a little bit more later. However, I did manage to upset somebody last night who went back and watched it, and then we had a conversation on Twitter, and it ended it all right in the end. So, but we'll go from there. James would rather listen to Agadoo, shocking. Craig says, nope, dreadful group. Oh, you lot are all disappointing me now.
Hang on, out of N-Dubs, who wins a game of darts?
Phaser.
Yeah, he's just a bit more calm, a bit more relaxed. I think
Talisa's not very active. I've seen her coordination skills before, and let's just say they're not very good.
I'm going to
stop there to the second semi-final. And
stop there before we get cancelled.
On to the second semi-final then, and it is an upset, but it's not an upset at the same time. It's a fantastic result for Luke Humphries, beating Michael van Gerwen 16-10. I think the criticism of Michael van Gerwen's performance is very, very harsh right now. Started off slow, left himself behind. Luke's won the first 4 sessions 3-2, 3-2. He's effectively lost 2 breaks of throw at that point.
Yeah.
That's it. 2 breaks of throw at that point to a player averaging mid-90s again, respectable averages. I don't understand the bashing and berating of Michael's performance. He's averaged 95, 10 from 34 on a double, so he's had more chances of that as well. 104 checkout, 7 180s. It's just a solid performance, but it wasn't good enough tonight against Luke Humphries, who just had that timing, The 3-ton plus is the 167 with the 10 something the leg before. The 132, I think it was as well.
132, yeah.
Yeah, look, MVG was not his brilliant best, and it's not the standard we've come to expect from Michael Van Gerwen, but he's already won 3 TV titles this year, and if you'd offered him that at the start of the year, he'd snapped your hand off for it, right? But because he's won those 3 TV titles, everyone was like, right, he cleans up right now, including me last night, and I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Yeah.
In fact, 2 nights ago, I started saying the only possible outcome from here was Gerwen Price versus Michael Van Gerwen in the final, because they're just so dominant over a longer format. They get so many chances to come back in it. But Luke just didn't give up those opportunities tonight.
No, he didn't. And yeah, I'm with you. I was watching it and I was close to muting it at one point. I was just thought like you say, the bashing of the way he played. Yes, okay, he started slowly. He averaged 84 through the first 4 legs, but then he got away with it and nicked the last leg before the first break. And I thought he played fairly solid after that. Yes, okay, it wasn't what we know he can do in the way that obviously we know he can go up there and average 110 over that sort of length of a match. But the reality is that most players don't do that week, game in, game out. And I thought it was a pretty solid performance from him. I just thought Luke was a little bit better, like you say. And towards the end, he was just clinical.
He was indeed. I don't really know what else to say about this game. It was a professional performance from Luke Humphries. It was a performance that perhaps shows a lot more experience for a player that hasn't won a serious TV title. Look, he's won 4 European Tour events this year, dropped off a little bit around the time of the birth of his child, which is absolutely expected, understandable and expected almost, but he's on that recovery again, and it looks like he's going to peak at the right time. And what it does do is it opens up a really interesting Final 4 as well. But Luke has the caliber to go on and win many major titles, and beating Michael Van Gerwen in this way. Look, there was more in the locker from Luke. I don't want to sit here and say that that's Luke's absolute premium performance and let Michael Van Gerwen off the hook completely. Michael Van Gerwen's start wasn't good enough, and he gave up 2 breaks, basically, after the first 4 sets. And at that point, anything can happen.
Yeah, he just never quite clicked in the way we know he can, but I just thought he wasn't anywhere near as bad as it was made out to be. And like I say, yeah, Luke has another level than that. I mean, he was only just over 30% on his doubles. Like it was pretty poor on the outer ring from both of them, to be honest. But towards the end, Luke was a lot better, and he was kind of clinical when he needed to be. But yeah, like you say, he's got a lot more in the tank. I mean, how many big checkouts did he miss on the wire as well? Like he could have come away from this with about 8 ton pluses out of the game as well, and won it probably 16-5. Like
I feel like the commentary can have quite a big swaying on how people are seeing the matchup. Obviously, that's what it's intended to do. It's meant to narrate and tell a story as well. I wonder if as many people that are questioning the level of performance from Michael would be doing the same if they weren't listening to the commentary. And that's not a criticism of the commentary. I just think that because we've seen such a resurgence from Michael, especially on TV and especially in Sky events this year, Premier League match play, the dominance resurgence, he's had it in those key moments, that they went looking for a reason that Michael wasn't running out so comfortably as a winner, especially after that Josh Rock performance and everything else that goes with the way that he's played so far in this tournament as well. I think if you watch that match back on silent without ever hearing the commentary, then I just think you might turn around and go, actually, it's a good game. It's a mid-range game. When one tried to react and kick on, the other one followed as well at that point and just shut down that comeback that Michael is so used to doing in the opposite way around.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that's the exact point with it, is that you get it a lot with sport. You get it with boxing a lot, in terms of you'll watch the commentary and you'll see a completely different fight to what you see if you watch it on mute. And it was the same with that tonight. And I'd like to say, I don't think anyone would have been saying it was as bad of a performance from him as a lot of people are saying if we hadn't been hearing it throughout the entire game.
Completely agree. Right, let's see if Excellent timing. We do have the Luke Humphries post-match reaction, so we'll play that for you guys right now.
Yeah, I'm very delighted. I think a lot of people sort of discredited me, said I probably, I'd stand no chance beating him over the first to 16 legs, but I just proved them wrong. Obviously the average is 97, 96. It isn't the best game in the world, but there was a lot of missed doubles in there, especially from Michael and myself. I think I had a lot of clutch finishes, and overall that give me control to go on and win the game. But there's a lot of missed doubles there, and I don't think we was nervous or too much pressure. We were just maybe trying too hard to get a big lead on each other. Yeah, I did, because a lot of people on social media just discount you when you play Michael. They think you ain't got no chance beating him first to 16 because he's too strong. But I proved there that you stick in there, you let the bad darts affect you, and I probably would have got smashed. So I didn't. I kept going. That's the resilience I've gained in the last 18 months, because 18 months ago I would have lost that probably. I've gained that resilience and that strength, mental strength to keep going and not let it affect me. And I think that I'll take that into tomorrow now, because I feel like if I can keep going and keep scoring like I can, but finish much more early, I could win tomorrow, definitely. But it's going to be a very, very hard task, and I'm very aware of that.
Yes. That's 2 clips I've heard from Luke on this show in back-to-back wins where he hasn't mentioned the Premier League or a World Series. We're learning. Superb job. No, I joke. Look, potentially, it'd be very difficult to rule that man out now, especially if he goes on to beat Nathan Aspinall in tomorrow's semi-final as a minimum, which I suppose we should look ahead to right now. We do have 2 semi-finals to look forward to from 1 o'clock. Starting with the fairy tale story of the Grand Slam in 2022. Raymond van Barneveld will take on bully boy Michael Smith. Now, before we get any deeper into this, I've seen it floated around the chat room a little bit. I've had it messaged to me privately, and I've seen it on Twitter as well. To say this is Michael Smith's best chance ever of winning a major is nonsense right now, in my opinion. I'm just going to put it out there right now. Look, Barney, with the story, the legacy, is going to have the fans as well. You still expect, to give away my prediction, I still expect Michael Smith to come through this, and I still expect him to have a bloody good shot in the final. But up against it will be either Luke Humphries bidding for his first TV major title, who has been to a UK Open final and been superb and won 4 European Championships, or Nathan Aspinall, who absolutely loves a scrap, has already won a major title and a World Series event. Please do not put them in the same category as previous opportunities, such as Danny Noppert in a UK Open final, who only averaged 85, or even Ross Smith before that match.
Yeah. I mean, Ross Smith, it turned out.
Ross Smith in the European Championship, ridiculously good, right?
Yeah, it turned out not to be a good chance whatsoever in the end.
On paper, you go, Michael Smith's in a final against Ross Smith, you're like, bang, he's going to do it. Right? Because that's the way we're all built to think, and how the difference of what we've come to know about these 2 players, and even recent form at that point as a bias, was all in the favour of Michael Smith. Ross Smith just produced an exceptional performance on TV in the final. He was so clutch. The finishing was there. The big visits were there. Everything you needed in that performance from Ross Smith was superb. To say this is Michael Smith's best chance ever of winning a major, I think is getting ahead of people.
Yeah, I do as well. And I just think, like you say, we've just seen how well Luke's playing without even playing at his best to handle Michael by 6 legs. And then, like you say, I don't think I'd ever want to play Nathan in a final. I just think he's just never going to go away. Like, he's always going to be there. He's always going to be scrapping. And if you make the slightest mistake, he's going to punish you, because that's what he does. And to be honest, is he guaranteed to get through the semi-final? No, he's not.
But
he will.
Scoreline?
Still 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he wins comfortably. And I actually think this time, when Barney gets behind early, he will crumble a little bit and he won't pull out the comeback that he did against Gezi. And I think he wins 16-8.
Hey, chat room, get your predictions in for this match. We'll do the other ones afterwards as well. So Adam's got Barney 16-12. Jamie's got 16-11 RVB. Plenty of you are backing this RVB continued fairy tale, which would just make things ridiculously interesting. Harry's got Smith 16-11. I'm swaying more towards that scoreline. I like that. Jack Nolte says Smith 16-10. Would love Barney, though. I think I'm going to go Smith. And I know I've gone almost favourite heavy this week, which is very unlike me as well. I'm very keen to back upsets, back the stories. If you look through any prediction we've done this year, I have not put Gerwen Price and Michael van Gerwen in a final together at any point. I've always thought that one of them might see you fall early.
Except for this week.
Or whatever else. Apart from this week. This is when it changed. I just thought the format opens up. There's that air of inevitability about them both at the minute. But that being said, I am going to go Michael Smith in this one. And I was nowhere near backing Michael Smith to reach the final of this event. But I think he's just got... There's an edge about him at the minute.
Yeah.
Still. He keeps making these finals. I mean, you can't keep getting knocked down the way that he does and just respond in this manner unless you've got something about you. And it is going to click. It is going to happen. It's probably the worst kept secret in the sport. And if he gets knocked down now, he'll probably be in the final of the Players' Championship finals next week. And if that doesn't go well, it'll go deep in the World Championship. He's just got that ability to go deep over and over and over again right now, which means he's going to get more and more chances. Eventually, one of those is going to pay off. You can't keep himself in that position. He's not Terry Jenkins. He's a better dart player than Terry Jenkins. He's not Dave Chisnall. Got way more time on his hands than Dave Chisnall and whatever else. And I just think the mentality is switching just that little bit. And in this match in particular, if you'd offered me this match 2 years ago or 3 years ago on Barney's retirement tour or whatever, given the week that he's had, I would have said Barney all day. But I just think Smith has matured so much more now that he's not going to get drawn into any of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think it's because everyone focuses on the fact that he's lost a lot of finals and he keeps losing in finals, we don't give him enough credit for how resilient he is and how good he is for keep making finals and keep coming back and bouncing back and putting himself in that same position again, because it'd be very easy to kind of just pack it in at that point, especially with all the outside attention and what everyone else says about him. I think I'm convinced that he wins one, and he wins one pretty soon. And not only that, I think once he does, I think we're going to see him win a hell of a lot.
My scoreline, by the way, will be 16-12 to Michael Smith. I think he opens up just that little bit of a comfort blanket, potentially misses one or two, gets a little bit edgy, but I think he will get over the line. 16-12, Michael Smith for me. Right, guys, that means we'll look forward to the second semi-final, which is Nathan Aspinall against Luke Humphries. Two still very raw players, two players with fantastic talent, two players that can win from every situation possible, and perhaps two players that get overlooked a little bit in an era that does still contain Van Gerwen, Price, Wright, Gary Anderson, Michael Smith, James Wade, etc. But two players that are building up for a fantastic end to 2022. One of them is going to get slightly better for before the end of the day in winning the semi-final as a minimum. Which one are you going for?
Going heart over head, I'm taking Asp, and I'm taking him to win a very, very close battle in a deciding leg.
16-15.
Yeah.
He does love a scrap, doesn't he?
He does love a scrap, and I think that he might just get over the line, especially if we see Luke play like he did today, in terms of scoring's good, plays well, but misses a chunk of doubles again. You ain't getting away with that against Aspinall.
But somehow, I think I might be the only one so far. But I'm going the other way.
No,
I'm going Humphries.
People starting to fall in there.
Oh, there we go. They're trickling in now. Adam's got Humphries 16-14. Daniel Humphries 16-13. More Asp, more Luke. This is possibly the most split prediction I've seen in the last 3 or 4 nights of being on the fallout bar, especially over this distance, which is probably because it is most definitely the toughest to call. it'd be interesting to see how the bookies split this one and to see who goes in favourite. If anybody, I think they might shade it to Luke, but I don't think you're going to get great value on an upset or whatever they perceive it at that point.
7-4 on Luke, 5-4 Nathan. I've just looked at the wrong bookmaker, by the way. I definitely should have looked at Boyles just to see what they had it at.
Don't say that out loud if you've done that.
I know, but I could. I was going to just blag it, but I just thought someone might be on Boyles and telling me, right. BoyleSports, basically exactly the same. 7-4 Luke, but 11-8 Nathan. They got Nathan slightly longer.
There you go. If you're having a bet,
so better value with BoyleSports.
Correct. Our friends and sponsors of this show. Right, I'm going Luke Humphries for this one, which means we'll get a shootout of first-time title winners in the final, which I have no idea how I'm going to predict that one in a minute. But I am going to go 16-13 to Luke. I think if anybody's going to produce a burst that puts them away from the other player, Luke mentioned it in his interview that perhaps him and Michael were just trying too hard to do that with each other. I think if anybody's more likely to produce it in that second semi-final tomorrow, it will be Luke to do that.
Yeah. He
will just produce that run of three where he takes out a ridiculous finish and his scoring will give him more chances in the next leg.
Yeah.
I think once that first starts in, he is a bigger scorer than Nathan Aspinall.
He is, but he's also not quite as clever on the outer ring as Nathan is.
Yeah, potentially.
By the way, while we're on it, on in terms of the odds, BoyleSports have also got 7-4 for Raymond van Barneveld and 9-4 on for Michael Smith, which is, for me, absolutely a ridiculously short price on Raymond van Barneveld.
And Smith favourite for the title?
I would imagine so, with him being the favourite out of those two. Let's have a look at the outrights. Yeah, Smith 13-8, Humphries 7-4, Aspinall 4-1, and 5-1 Barney.
They will move very quickly once games start tomorrow. So if you do fancy any of that, do get on them as soon as possible. But as I said, please make sure you gamble responsibly if you're having a flutter. Right, from your predicted semi-finals, Cam, I want to know who wins the final, against who, and what scoreline. Chat room, exactly the same from you guys as well, with whoever you've predicted so far. A couple of questions while you're thinking about that. Mr. Kashi says, what's up? How are we doing, buddy? Good to see you. Spider-Pug says, when is the game? The Grand Slam semi-finals start at 1 p.m. GMT tomorrow. If you're looking for live darts, then hold off a few minutes till we finish the show. Head over to the Modus Super Series channel and you can watch finals night of week number 4, I think it is, down at the Modus Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Right, predictions for your finals then. Jamie has got Barney to beat Aspinall 16-9. Barry has got Luke to beat Barney 16-14. G's has got Barney to beat Luke 16-15. What did you have in the other score between Barney and Smith at that point, G's? Because you've just basically given Barney 60 legs to play tomorrow. I'm not sure. Barney 16, Humphries 11. There's a lot of love for Barney here, folks. Sam's going Asp 16, Bully 13. Craig, Luke 16, Bully 13. No one's giving Bully this title. Smith 16, Aspinall 13. There we go. Michael Smith has just won his first major, according to Harry. I'm on your team. Barneveld 16, 13 for Tommy. Aspinall to beat Barney in the final 16-12. Smith 16, Aspinall 13. Smith 16, Humphries 14. That's a little bit more where I am, I think, Daniel. Barney 16-12 against Luke. And Kieran, Aspinall 16, Barney 11. Cam, drop yours in a minute. I'll let a few more drop in and we'll see where we're going with those.
Yeah, I think for me, I want them both to win. Can we just have it rained off like the cricket and we just share the trophy?
Share it. Can we have a bowl off?
Yeah.
9-dart shootout. And if they all just hit steady tons, they can all have a trophy.
Yeah, we'll just share it. No, I think this is the one that we see Michael Smith win. As much as I want to see Nathan win it, I think Smith gets over the line and I think he wins it 16-12.
The final is first to 16, isn't it? Why we're all predicting 16?
I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't checked either.
Absolutely everybody up here.
I haven't checked either. I'll be honest.
You know when you just have this moment of panic.
Well, I did that before the semis as well. I was like, I knew it was 16 legs, and
that distance.
Questioned it.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Okay, you beat me to it. There we go. That'll do.
Jeez. Oh my God, we're gonna look like absolute idiots right now.
Just cancel it. We'll re-record.
Yeah, it's first to 16.
Just while you're thinking, by the way, if somehow Barney does make it through that first one, then I absolutely don't think he wins the second one. I think that we see Nathan win.
He does have the advantage of having a longer time to rest because he will play first. However, that's still a ridiculous turnaround for somebody who he's in much better shape than when he left the tour 2 years ago. But I'm still not sure he's got 60 legs of darts in him.
No.
Not at that standard. Given my luck with predictions this week, I really don't want to say this one because I want it to happen. We can just stop the narrative, get on with it, and then we can get serious with the rest of his career.
We know what happens, though, to be fair. I've already picked him to win. If you pick him to win as well, it's absolutely guaranteed that he doesn't.
Correct. But I've got to do it because that's genuinely what I think will unfold for tomorrow. Michael Smith beats Luke Humphries 16-13.
So we both got him winning relatively comfortably as well, with a little bit of a gap, a little bit of space for a little wobble, even if it happens, and still get over the line.
Yeah, 100%. Where were we with predictions? We'll go from here. So Bob's got Aspinall to beat Barney in the final, Smith to beat Aspinall, Smith to beat Humphries. We've got Barney to beat Luke, Aspinall to beat Barney, Aspinall to beat Barney. James is going with me 16, Phil 15.
I don't think
he's never getting 15 legs against me in his life. Don't you worry about that, son.
That'd be like predicting me to get 15 legs off you. It's not happening either.
They were bad moments in lockdown. Aspinall to beat 16. Jesus got Barney 16-13 tomorrow. So you've got him playing 60 legs tomorrow and winning back-to-back matches over that distance. Fair play. Humphries 16-9 to beat Smith final. Split the prize. Don't worry, Aspinall.
Jamie's commenting in the chat there as well. Yeah, we are crazy. Haven't we proved that already over the last couple of years?
Look, situationally, I think they're all different. In his first few, he ran into the likes of Peter Wright, Gerwen Price, Van Gerwen, whoever it was. Let's not forget, Peter Wright lost his first, 7, 8 major finals?
Yeah.
Or something ridiculous against Michael Van Gerwen and co.
Yeah, it took him a lot longer to get there than...
Michael Smith's got 25 years on Peter Wright.
Exactly.
Maybe not 25, but Michael Smith's got a considerable amount of time on Peter Wright. And I just think that the fact he's getting to so many finals in such a short space of time is an indication that it will just happen for him. Other players that have done that have made finals and not got over the line. Terry Jenkins was 10 finals in a 23-year career or something.
Yeah,
Dave Chisnell's been in the PDC, 15, 16 years, made 8 or 9 finals.
Yeah.
And his action doesn't hold up under the pressure. Bully Boy's action has never faltered under that pressure.
No, it's so smooth, it's so natural, it doesn't go wrong.
The Noppert final is concerning, but again, that's multiple matches in the same day at the end of what effectively presented itself to Michael Smith off the back of the World Championship, which was incredibly difficult for Michael Smith to take. He did nothing wrong in that World Championship final, by the way. If anybody says he bottled that World Championship final, I'll beat you in the chat, because that's just nonsense. But
Yeah,
when the opportunity to present itself to get over that so quickly against a player that at that point hadn't really continued to prove himself in the PDC to the same level as Smith and whatever else. And let's be honest, immediately that conversation turned to, this is Michael Smith's first ever chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got to Michael Smith, I think. The Ross Smith final, genuinely don't think he could have done much more. Ross Smith just produced almost a perfect performance in the final, 180 hitting in all the crucial moments. His finishing was superb. I think he'd taken out 2-ton pluses in the first 5 legs. And Smith was still there for a large part of it, up against it.
Well, that's the thing for me. When you say the knockout final was concerning, I really don't think it is. I think it was just a bit of a blip. The fact that he bounced back and played like he did against Ross Smith in that next final, I don't think there's any concern about any hangover from the knockout final or that being a big issue. I think on any other day, he beats Ross Smith very, very comfortably in that game. It was just Ross played his very best game up there that day and was just slightly better. I mean, Smith averaged 101 over the course of the final and about 50% on his doubles and got beat. Right?
Yeah. And that World Championship final, right, did not bottle anything.
No. Again, he was absolutely fantastic in that final.
Peter Wright won 10 of the last 11 legs, averaging 113.
Yeah.
That's 13 darts a leg.
Yeah.
You've done absolutely nothing wrong in that situation.
Over 11 legs, like
at all. Right. So that one gets to me. That's basically casual fans wanting to stick a narrative on Smith because he does have this unfortunate record in finals for a player that is constantly given credit to and assumed that it will just happen for him. And I still believe it will. I'm not saying it's a God-given right, but I still think he will. If I start to see things where he says the right things at the end of them now, I think he's getting over them a lot quicker, that there's less hangover with them and whatever else. And ability-wise, he just keeps going about his business. He's not over-talking at the start of events, which I think was getting to him a bit as well when he started playing well the last couple of times he went through cycles. The signs are still good for Michael Smith to go and get a title, in my opinion. I'm not seeing anything that goes, actually, no. He's got a huge mental block. It's never going to happen. Doesn't matter what happens. He's in trouble. That just doesn't exist for me right now. So that's why I'm still going. Smith has still got a great chance, and I'm still backing him to win this from tomorrow. Given the way he's played so far this year, I think he's the most in form of the lot.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's the thing. It's one of those things like having to go at someone for not winning major finals. I mean, we forget how difficult it is to get to a major final. The absolute depth of quality out there in the PDC right now, you've got to get through just to make these finals, never mind anything else. He's not getting a free ride and just getting dropped in at the final for everyone else to have a go at. I mean, he's fighting his way to get there every time and playing unbelievably along the way. And like I say, we both think that he wins tomorrow, and at that point all that talk goes away and he probably goes in there as one of the top 2 or 3 in the betting for the Worlds.
Yeah, I've not had a quid on Smith at all now, so I actually backed Colin to beat him the other night. So it's just those 3 legs at the end for Michael Smith were another sign that he's got something deep down, that when he needs it, it is there. He just needs to produce that more often.
That shows it as well, doesn't it? I mean, those last 3 legs against Gerwen on Friday night were just... Was it Friday night? No, Thursday night?
Yeah.
Friday night. Yes, yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah. I've lost what day it is as well. Yeah, it just shows I mean, you can try and argue that he's a bottler all you want, but it's not going to wash with me because
it's not going to wash it. It's not going to wash right here at the back end of this show. Right, a very, very quick conversation on potential Premier League. Look, it's never going to be my favourite conversation, but we are edging closer to the point where that selection will be made. Hopefully, they just completely discount the Masters this year. The fact that's come into account for the last 2 years really has frustrated me. However, Michael Smith currently world number 4. Luke Humphries up to world number 5 as it stands. There was a lot of talk about Barney being ushered straight into the Premier League after he beat my Gerwen Price the other night. I said an awful lot on that last night. I don't want to get drawn into that too much again, but I just don't think it will happen. Not only just because of the performance, but I think there's a lot of politics involved in that one as well that I don't want to get too deep into again. However, Luke Humphries currently world number 5, Nathan Aspinall world number 10. A win for Aspinall in this tournament would take him above Luke Humphries into 5th as well. So, I guess the question right now is, I don't think Barney's in. Unless Barney wins this tournament,
yeah,
he's not in the conversation at all. If he does win the tournament, he's in the conversation, but I think he's quickly moved on by Sky. I think Barney, Gary, and a couple of others have had their day because he's shown no signs he's capable of producing this over and over again. He's been back on tour for 18 months.
I agree.
Struggled to reach TV tournaments, and the last time he went travelling, he tried to give up halfway through.
I agree, and I know where you're going from, but I think there's absolutely zero chance that if he wins this tournament, he's not even in the conversation or moved on from quickly. He will be. I think if he wins this tournament, he will be in the Premier League. I don't want to see it, and it's not what I want to see. But if he wins it, he's too big of a draw. And he just is. He is.
He's too big of a draw to people that still remember Barney as an iconic player.
Yes, and these are the people that are buying tickets for the Premier League and watching it on a Thursday night.
But he's not producing those performances on a Thursday night. The last time he was in the Premier League, got absolutely nowhere near those performances. The field is narrowed. The Premier League is even tougher than it's ever been before because you have to go and win 2-3 games on the night now and everything else that goes with it. And I'm just not sure that Barney's cut out for 17 weeks on the spin of that. Gary Anderson could go and win the World Championship, as he so often is capable of doing when he rocks up to Alexandra Palace. His record there, by the way, is ridiculously understated for a player that was one game away from back-to-back World Championship titles. But I still don't think a World Championship would set Gary up for 17 weeks in the Premier League because he's not got the drive, he's not got the desire, and he's not got the staying power to do that for 17 weeks. I look back last night, Gary won 5 matches in 16 weeks in the Premier League last year. 3 of them were on the same night.
Yep, but the point is, it's not about whether he's cut out for it. The point is, who's
It is, though. It is. No, because in that format, the Premier League format gets stale, right? And everybody knows it gets stale. If you've got one player that is effectively a whipping boy, that Gary basically became last year, that is effectively a bye or a simple walkover win in the first round. There was some matches that were competitive up until 4 apiece, and then Gary sort of fell off a bit. Right, that just devalues the Premier League. When you've got such a small field, you've got to be entertaining week in, week out to keep eyes on that product. And the legacy of Barney gets damaged if he's back in the Premier League and he gets battered every week first round.
Yeah, but I just think I just know how Sky works. We know how it works.
We do know how Sky works. I think the best way for me to describe it is the legacy of Raymond van Barneveld is worth more to the PDC than the short-termism of one more stint in the Premier League next year.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's the best way to describe it without any wires getting crossed. It's not slagging Barney off. It's not this, that, and the other. I just think what Barney has done for the game and the history of Barney is better protected for that and being able to produce these odd runs at TV tournaments and whatever else than sticking him into the Premier League next year for the sake of a couple of hundred bums on seats for venues and that are already sold out. Do you know how difficult it is to get Premier League tickets already?
I know, but what you're forgetting is as well, that last Premier League campaign of Barney is forgotten about anyway. It is forgotten about. The things that get remembered are still the big moments. So even if he came in and got beat every week, give it a year, no one remembers it. So
I'm not sure. No, that last campaign's remembered massively because he should have left his darts on the stage and walked away at that point. The rest of the year was a disaster.
But it's remembered by people like me and you, not the casual fan that the Premier League's aimed at, and that they can still sell his old record to.
We'll see. Anyway, we've got massively sidetracked because the question I was basically going to ask you, Cam, is if you could only pick one of the two, given the way they're playing so far and given the fact they meet tomorrow, who is more likely to be in the Premier League next year, Luke Humphries or Nathan Aspinall? The rest of it was just Smith's in the top 4, effectively going to be there. If he goes any deeper, he might well start putting Van Gerwen under pressure for 3. I can't quite see it unless he goes very deep at the World Championships. It is possibly a shootout between Luke Humphries. If you stick Joe Cullen, last year's runner-up in there, you've got to potentially sneak Johnny Clayton in there. Danny Noppert's just gone above Johnny Clayton in the rankings and won the UK Open and whatever else. Aspinall or Humphries?
I think there's a question about a few, to be honest, of who gets in and who doesn't. I mean, most years we'd see Ross Smith also get in off the back of winning the European Championship as well. So I don't think they will. I don't think Ross is enough for a draw or will get in there. But if I could have one, it's got to be Nathan. It just has to be Nathan. He's been there. He's proven in it. He's reached a final that he was rather unlucky with in terms of injury at the time as well. Did he reach the final? He did reach the final, didn't he? Was it the semis?
They lose to Duzzer in the final.
I think he did. I was thinking the other one, though, when he did his back.
I don't even know what day it is, let alone what happened in the Premier League 3 or 4
When he did his
years.
back, that was semis, wasn't it? Or was that final? I can't remember now.
No idea.
No,
Right, basically, though, that is that's the end of tonight's show.
Anyway, hang on, who are you having?
Luke.
Okay. What, even if Nathan wins tomorrow?
If Nathan wins tomorrow, then Nathan 100%. If Nathan wins the title tomorrow, I think if Nathan beats Luke in the semi but loses in the final, I still think we're more likely to see Luke there than we are Nathan, despite the fact it'll be back-to-back finals for Nathan.
Yeah.
I think he's newer, scoring power is that little bit bigger, a little bit easier on the eye to watch, and we've spoken an awful lot about getting a chance to be in there. And Nathan's had that, so he'd have to work. I think once you've been in there, you've got to do that little bit more to get yourself
back in than to get in first time. Yeah.
100%. Right, with that, guys, that is the end of tonight's show and the end of the Fallout Bar for this week. Myself, Phil Bars and Lee Boyce will be back on Monday evening for the live lounge. We appreciate that the World Cup starts tomorrow and that England kick off their campaign on Monday afternoon. Have a look at it. The training top is much better than the other two. But we're still going to persevere because we're going to clash with football at some point, no matter what happens in the next couple of weeks. We've got an interview with someone from the PDC on Monday as well, so we want to discuss that as part of the show and a couple of other things. So we're going to carry on with the show on Monday night. So hopefully see all of you guys there. The next time the Fallout Bar will return will be on the 15th of December for the very first day of the PDC World Championships. Yes, that's right, ladies. There's no Fallout Bar for Minehead. It's way too short an event, and England play on the Friday night. There's absolutely no point in us doing that show because the darts finishes at 6, England kick off at 7. Not happening. If you do want to watch some more live darts, head over to the Motor Super Series channel or Sporty Stuff TV and check out finals night of the Motor Super Series 2, week 4. Colin Osborne, Aaron Monk, 2 of the players involved. Conan Whitehead, the reigning champion of the Super Series, involved as well. Before you do go, please, guys, drop us a like on the stream and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are approaching 30,000 subscribers. If we hit that before the World Championship, guarantee we'll give you a massive giveaway. No idea what that will be just yet. I'll make Barzy sort that one out, but we will 100% be doing some sort of ridiculous giveaway at 30,000 subscribers, guys. It really would mean a lot to us to reach that mark before we head to Muswell Hill and Alexandra Palace. A big thank you to you, Cam, and everybody else that's contributed to this show throughout the week for what's been a fantastic Grand Slam of Darts, and we hope tomorrow night's action lives up to the billing. But much love to everybody in the chat room, and we'll see you all very, very soon.